Hola, buenos días, bienvenidos a mi clase de español de hoy, otra vez. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Yo estoy muy bien. ¿Y tú qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Hoy, today, necesitas un bolígrafo, a pen, un bolígrafo, un cuaderno o papel, un cuaderno or papel, so an exercise book or paper, because I'm going to get you to do a little bit of writing just to practice some of the things that we've already looked at. If you need to sort of walk away, guys, and get a pen and something to write on, that's fine. Just pause the video. Bueno, listo, lista, you ready? So do you remember listo and lista means ready? It would depend on whether you're a girl or a boy that I'm talking to. If you were a boy and I wanted to ask you ready, I would say listo. If you were a girl, I'd say lista. Okay? And bueno means kind of, well, okay. And here's another little filler word that's really nice that the Spanish use all the time, which means entonces, means kind of so. Entonces, voy a empezar. Now, we've seen voy a lots of times now. I'm going to. Voy a empezar, to begin or to start. Voy a empezar. I'm going to begin. Vamos a aprender. Vamos a aprender. Aprender, apprenticeship, apprentice, to learn. So we are going to learn. Voy a, I'm going to. Vamos a, we are going to. Vamos a aprender. Vamos a repasar. We are going to review or to revise things. Okay, vamos a repasar. So, I want to remind you now of something that we looked at in the last episode, linked to gender, and that is how you can very quickly identify whether a noun, and when I say a noun, I mean a thing, a person, or a place, is masculine or feminine. And maybe the easiest way to do it is to just focus in and ask yourself, does this noun end with one of these three endings? A, ion, or dad? And if it does, it's probably feminine, almost certainly. Okay, so that means you've only got to remember three things, at least initially. Okay, so remember the feminine endings, a, ion, dad. Okay, and treat everything else as masculine. This doesn't work 100% of the time, but it's pretty reliable. Now, you might well remember this slide from a couple of episodes back. I've made the nouns bigger here, so you can see I've increased the font size. So we've got several nouns that we can focus on. Abuelo, aquí. Abuelo. Amigo, amigo. Comida, pan. Mensaje, tarjeta. Okay, so we've got a few nouns that we can look at. So if you were to apply that rule that we've just looked at, feminine endings, and ask yourself, does it end with a, ion, or dad? It gives you a very quick guide as to whether something's masculine or feminine. I mean, it's useful to also bear in mind at this stage, I suppose, that an O ending is almost always masculine, because that's pretty reliable too. And you can see, look at abuelo. I mean, obviously a masculine thing because it means grandfather, so it's blindingly obvious that it's masculine. But does that noun end with dad, ion, or a? No. Does it end with an o? Yes, it's masculine, 100%. The word amigo, which means friend, in this case it's got an o ending. It doesn't end with a, ion, or dad. It's got an o, it's masculine. Now, at this point, I do need to just say that there's a degree of sexism with Spanish, in the sense that if you wanted to talk about mis amigos, my friends, and you've got a blend of boy and girl friends, you would tend to go with a masculine form of the word. So amigo is masculine. Okay, so if you had, theoretically, if you were talking about a group of 100 people, okay, let's say they were all friends of yours, 100 friends, and 99 of them are feminine, girls, and just one of them is masculine, you would need to go, strictly speaking, with amigo, okay, with the masculine form of the word. Having said that, if you were talking about a girlfriend, and you wanted to be clear that it's a girlfriend, you would say amiga. Okay, we're not talking about a girlfriend as in the sense of romantically attached here. We're talking about a girlfriend, amiga. So this word has a feminine and a masculine form. Amigo, boyfriend, a male friend, and amiga, a girlfriend. But in general, if you're talking about friends, you'd use the masculine form, amigos. Okay, even though it's a blend of boys and girls. Comida. Let's have a look at this word. This means food, and it ends with an A. It's going to be feminine, isn't it? It fulfills one of our three feminine endings. A, ion, dad. It's got an A on the end, it's feminine. Pan. Does this word end with an A, an ion, or a dad? No, it's got an N on the end. It's masculine. Pan. Pan tostado. And also, it's worth pointing out that the word tostado, toasted, is actually an adjective, isn't it? It's describing the way the bread is. And look, that's got an O on the end. And O, we know with adjectives, is linked to masculine things. So even if you didn't use any other method of working out whether bread is a boy thing or a girl thing, that adjective, tostado, tells you that it's masculine. Otherwise, it would be tostada with an A on the end. Next, mensaje. Okay, does that word end with an A? No. With an A, that is. Does it end with an ion? No. Does it end with dad? No. It's got an E on the end. It's masculine. Okay, and again, if we wanted to just confirm that in our own minds, it's got the masculine form of the word a. So a message is un mensaje, not una mensaje. And here we've got the word hermana, which means sister. It's obvious that that word is feminine, isn't it? Because a sister is a feminine thing. But if we weren't sure, look, it's got an A on the end, hermana. And it also helps us to remember the word for brother in Spanish, which is simply hermano, with the O ending for a masculine thing. Hermana, sister, hermano, brother. And then we've got the word tarjeta down here, which is the word for a card. In this case, it's the word for a card as in a birthday card. And the Spanish say literally a tarjeta de cumpleaños. A card of birthday is what that means. De, we might remember, means of. Tarjeta, card. A card of birthday. Cumpleaños, birthday. Okay. Does tarjeta, is it feminine? Of course it is, because it's got an A ending. So the endings were a, ion, and dad for feminine things. It's got an A on the end, it's feminine. And again, this word gives us the clue as well, because here we've got the feminine word for a, or a, if you like. A card is una tarjeta, not un tarjeta. Una tarjeta de cumpleaños, of birthday. You might remember also that I broke this word up a little bit. Años are years in Spanish, and un año, A-N with a squiggly little N over it, and O, año is the word for year, años, years, and cumple comes from the verb to complete, so cumpleaños literally means complete years, and that's how they say birthday. So I have one complete year, if you see what I mean. It's quite logical. Cumpleaños, cumpleaños. Then we've got the top three verbs that we matched up with these phrases. Charlar, comer, escribir. To chat, to eat, to write. Charlar, comer, escribir. Okay? And the last part of this particular little jigsaw is voy a and vamos a, which we've seen lots of times now. This is how you talk about what you're going to do. Voy a, I'm going to. Vamos a, we're going to. So I'm going to chat. Voy a charlar. We're going to write. Vamos a escribir. Okay? So I asked you to have a pen and bolígrafo and something bit of paper or an exercise book to hand. What's going to happen now is we're going to do a sort of two-part activity with you writing something. It's going to be very simple, and it's just to get you A, writing in Spanish, and B, really cementing this kind of language in your minds. And I think this is going to work really well for you, and you'll enjoy it and get a sense of achievement hopefully from it. So at this stage, make sure you've got a pen and paper in front of you. I am going to blank this screen off shortly, and I'm going to dictate these particular phrases in random order, and I want you to write the English down. So I'm going to say a phrase in Spanish which relates to this slide, and you are going to write that phrase in English. It's very important that you do that, okay? So don't write any Spanish at this stage, just the English translation. And I'd like you to do that. There's going to be 6 phrases. So if you put in a column on your piece of paper the numbers 1 to 6 going down the page, and leave a couple of lines between each phrase underneath, okay? That's important too. So you're going to write the English of what I say in Spanish. You're going to leave a couple of lines and then write the next piece of English. I think you'll see how this works quite quickly. So I'm going to blank this off at this stage. We're going to literally do that. Okay, so you can't see anything. Okay, so we'll do the first one, check it, and I'll make sure that way that you understand what I'm sort of expecting of you. So here we go. Phrase number 1, I'm going to read you some Spanish. You're going to write the English translation. So here we go. Voy a comer pan tostado. And I'm going to say these things 3 times, okay? So it gives you 3 bites at the cherry to write it down. And obviously, at any stage, you can pause this video to write. So, voy a comer pan tostado. Voy a comer pan tostado. So you're going to write down the English meaning of that Spanish phrase. Okay. Voy a comer pan tostado. So what you should have written for that first one is, I am going to eat toast. I'm going to eat toast. That's what you should have written down under number 1. Okay, so I'm going to do 5 more of these. You're listening and you're writing down the English. And that's it at this stage. And don't forget to leave a couple of lines under each phrase. Next. Voy a escribir una tarjeta de cumpleaños. Voy a escribir una tarjeta de cumpleaños. Voy a escribir una tarjeta de cumpleaños. So hopefully you're starting to understand the Spanish as you hear it. So write that English phrase down. Number 3, número 3. 3 is 3. Número 3. Vamos a charlar con mis amigos. What does that mean? Vamos a charlar con mis amigos. Vamos a charlar con mis amigos. So you can pause that if you need a little bit of time to write. Número 4. Número 4. 4. Vamos a comer comida muy deliciosa. Vamos a comer comida muy deliciosa. Vamos a comer comida muy deliciosa. What does that mean in English? Write the English down. 5. Número 5. Number 5. Voy a charlar con mi abuela. Voy a charlar con mi abuela. And be careful with the sex or the gender on this, because listen to the word abuela. Okay? Voy a charlar con mi abuela. That's number 5, número 5. Y finalmente, número 6, number 6, número 6 es voy a escribir un mensaje corto. And I'm going to ask you to guess the spelling of the word corto, which is the last little word that I've given you. So, voy a escribir un mensaje corto. In fact, I need to give you that word thinking about it. So the word corto is C-O-R-T-O. Don't write it down, but it means short. Okay, so you're writing the English, aren't you? So what do you think that means? Voy a escribir un mensaje corto. One last time. Voy a escribir un mensaje corto. So at this stage you should have 6 things written down in English. Okay? Pause me, or if you need to just put this on hold, you can do. Now let's just examine what you should have written down. Okay? So these are the phrases that I've given you in English. This is what you should have written down. So number 1, número 1, was I'm going to eat toast. Okay? Voy a comer pan tostado. The next one was vamos a escribir una tarjeta de cumpleaños. Means I'm going to write. So voy a escribir una tarjeta de cumpleaños. Yeah, is I am going to write a birthday card. Number 3 was vamos a charlar con mis amigos. Vamos a, we are going. Charlar, to chat with my friends. Vamos a charlar con mis amigos. Número 4, number 4, we're going to eat delicious food. So what I actually said was vamos a comer comida, and actually I think it should read very delicious, muy deliciosa. We are going to eat very delicious food. So if you put the very in, well done. 5, I said voy a charlar con mi abuela, with an A ending, so it was grandmother, not grandfather in this case. I'm going to chat with my grandmother. Voy a charlar con mi abuela. And finally, voy a escribir un mensaje corto. I'm going to write un mensaje corto, a message short. Okay, remember the word order in Spanish is always the other way around. So we would say I'm going to write a short message. Okay, now again, what I want to do, everybody, is you've written 5 things down in Spanish, and at this stage, in fact I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to go back to my blank screen. Oops, let's just get rid of that. So back to my blank screen. All I want you to do now is put me on pause, and I want you to see how accurately you could recreate your 6 English sentences that you've written out back into Spanish now. Okay, take as long as you like, come back to me when you've finished that, and we will check them together. I must make it really clear, everybody, that it's irrelevant really how well or how badly you do on this. It's simply the act of you trying to remember as much Spanish as you can using those 6 English phrases as a guide. That's going to really help you to embed this language. So pause me, write the Spanish equivalent of those English phrases down, and come back and we'll check. Okay, I'm assuming that you've done that. So let's check them together. Okay, so I'm going to eat toast. You should have written voy a comer pan tostado or something roughly along those lines. Next, voy a escribir, I'm just going to move me down there, voy a escribir una tarjeta de cumpleaños. And at this stage, if you're spelling these things correctly, really well done. If not, don't worry, this language will slowly seep into your sort of subconscious. We're going to chat with my friends. Why is that not working? We should have that coming up now. There we go. Vamos a charlar con mis amigos. Vamos a charlar con mis amigos. We're going to eat delicious food. I think actually I put a very in there for you, but that's what it should look like. Vamos a comer comida muy deliciosa. Very delicious. Next, voy a charlar con mi abuela. Voy a charlar con mi abuela. I'm going to chat with my grandmother. And finally, I'm going to write a short message. Voy a escribir un mensaje corto. Okay, corto, short. And we're going to see that adjective, and I've slipped that adjective in there because at some point quite soon we're going to speak about hair and eyes, and corto means short, as in short hair, a short message, in many senses. So I wanted you to see that adjective and start remembering it. Excellent. Now, I want to move on at this stage. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to look at that's new today is past tense and actually present tense, and highlight what we have to do in terms of grammar to slip from the present to the past to the future. So that's what we're going to be looking at now, just for 5 minutes. So you probably remember these verbs. Charlar, to chat. Cantar was to sing. Remember, chant. Empezar, we've just seen that earlier in today's episode, is to begin or to start. Repasar, to review or to revise something. Escuchar, to listen to. Comer, to eat. Comer, to eat. Aprender is to learn, apprentice, apprenticeship. Vivir, to live. And I gave you this word, English word, vivacious, meaning somebody who's lively and bubbly. Vivacious. Vivir or vivir, to live. Finally, escribir, which we've seen today, is to write. Okay. Now, these are doing words, they're action words, they're verbs, and at this stage, they don't tell you really anything much about who's doing the action or when the action's taking place. So if I say, for example, cantar, it means, it translates as to sing or just sing. So we need to do something to indicate very often who's doing the action. In fact, most of the time we want to know who's doing the action. Is it I sing? I am singing? Is it I sung last week? Is it I'm going to sing? So we need to modify this and change it in a way that gives us a bit more information. So this part of the verb that we've just looked at, that list, is called the infinitive of the verb. Okay, and it's not terribly important that you remember that. It's a grammatical phrase, but I'd like you to know that that is the name of this part of the verb, the infinitive. Okay, and what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what you have to do to modify the verb to change the meaning slightly. So the first thing you have to do is, most of the time you have to chop off the ending. Okay, so in this case, charlar is an AR verb, and you chop off the AR. So I'm just going to go back actually to show you our list. Do you remember me saying that there's three groups of verbs in Spanish? The biggest group are the AR verbs, okay, so called because in the infinitive they have an AR on the end. So charlar, cantar, empezar, repasar, escuchar are all examples of AR verbs, and they're the biggest category of verb in Spanish. Then we have two smaller but really important groups. You've got the ER verbs like comer and aprender. You can see why they're called ER verbs, because in the infinitive they have an ER on the end. And IR verbs like vivir and escribir, IR. So three categories of verbs. And the first thing we have to do is in the process of modifying verbs is to chop off the ending. So in this case, charlar, you chop off the AR ending, okay? And we end up with something called the stem of the verb. In this case, it's charl. And it's called the stem because if you think about a flower, you've got the stem as the basic part, and then you add on to the top some sort of flower, don't you? And in our case with verbs, we're adding an ending. And I want to make this as simple as I can for you, because it's the concept that I want to get across today as much as anything. This idea of chopping off the AR, ER or IR ending to get the stem of the verb and then adding something. Okay, so three types of verbs. AR verbs like charlar, and then I've grouped the other two together because often they share the same patterns and verb endings. So comer and escribir, the ER and the IR verbs, I've sort of clumped them over here together. Now, present tense. So, present tense goes like this, and I've used the word hoy here to remind us that we're talking about present. Okay, so what does hoy mean? It means today, doesn't it? So if you wanted to say today I chat, or I am chatting with my friends, you get your stem, char, and you add the letter O. So charlo is how you say I chat or I am chatting. Okay, it's the present tense form. Okay, because it's happening now or now-ish, or currently. And it's exactly the same for the other two groups of verb. You just add an O. So comer becomes como. Off comes the ER ending, on goes an O, como. Escribir, off comes the IR ending here, and on goes an O. So the same pattern for all three categories of verb. So this is how we go from charlar, to chat, or comer, to eat, or escribir, to write, to I chat, I eat, I write. And it's really important at this stage, guys, that you try and concentrate on this. It's not the most electrifyingly exciting part of the language, looking at verb endings, but if you can grasp it and understand it, it really helps you out big time later on. And not only, so just focusing in on charlo, which means I chat, present tense, you also need to understand that that same word, charlo, can translate as I am chatting as well, as in like right now, charlo. In the same way that como can mean I eat, as in I eat in the school canteen every day, but it can also mean I am eating, as in I'm eating a cheese sandwich now. Como un bocadillo de queso. Escribo can mean I write, as in I write to my sister every week, and it can also mean I am writing. I'm writing my sister's birthday card now. Okay, so there's a double meaning potentially to the present tense. Okay, next, something very new for us is the past tense forms. Now, if hoy means today, ayer is yesterday. Ayer, yesterday. So now we're in the past tense, and here we've got a divide between the AR verbs and the other two types, ER and IR verbs. And you need to remember two endings for the past tense for the I forms. Okay, charlé, so E with an accent, means I chatted, past tense, charlé. And I told you, didn't I, that when you see an accent on a verb like this, sorry, on a vowel like this, that's where the stress goes. Okay, that's what it's telling you. So it's telling you two things here. It's telling you that, well, if we can remember that the pronunciation of E in Spanish is like an AY sound. Remember I told you, in fact here we are up here, remember the word for number 6 in Spanish, it's seis, seis. Just remember that, and it tells you and reminds you how you pronounce the two vowels. So E is always pronounced like A, A-Y, A. So this is Charlie. And also remember the stress with that accent is on the end. So it is not Charlie, it's Charlie. And that is important because in Spanish, that ending is telling the Spanish ear that you're in the past tense. And when they hear the stress on the end of the word like that, or the verb, it's communicating past tense, Charlie. In the same way that for the other two groups of verbs, the smaller groups, the ER and IR verbs, comer and escribir, for example, it's not an E with an accent, it's an I with the accent. So this is how we go from to eat, comer, to I ate, past tense, comí. Again, stress on the end, comí. And escribir, to write, you modify the verb, you chop that IR ending off, and on goes an I with an accent, escribí. Okay, so what we've got now is present tense and past tense endings and how they change in Spanish. And it's not easy, this, to grasp, so this is an introduction for you, and some of you will get it immediately, others might need to maybe rewind this video slightly and have a look and see and think about it in a bit more detail. So present tense is easy, it's just an O on the end. Charlo, como, escribo. Past tense, slightly more complex. If it's an AR verb like charlar, it's an E with an accent that goes on the end for past tense, charlé. If it's one of the other two, and comer, escribir, ER, IR type verbs, it's an I with an accent that goes on the end, comí, escribí. Okay. Finally, we've already seen how we talk about our future plans, don't we? So what we're going to do. So just a reminder, if you haven't already twigged, if you wanted to say not I chat, or I am chatting, present tense, or I chatted, past tense, but now what you want to say is I'm going to chat. What is it? It's voy a, isn't it? So the voy a is I'm going to. So this is how you express your future intentions. Okay, so I'm going to chat, voy a charlar. I've lost my cursor here, there it is. Voy a charlar, voy a comer, I'm going to eat. Voy a escribir, I'm going to write. Okay, so if you think about it, we've really only got 4 things we need to remember. Present tense is an O on the end of the stem. Stem is charl in this case, isn't it? Charlo. How do you form the stem? You take your basic part of the verb, the infinitive, charlar in this case, AR verb, chop that AR ending off to get the stem charl, and you add a particular ending, in this case an O for the present tense, which changes and modifies the meaning. So charlo, I chat, or I am chatting, it can mean both of those things. Como, I eat, or I am eating. Escribo, I write, I am writing. That is your present tense forms. Okay. If we wanted to talk about past tense, what you did in the past, for instance, yesterday, which is ayer, then if it's a charlar AR type verb, E with an accent goes onto the stem and it becomes charlé. If it's one of the other two groups of verbs, comer or escribir, it's an I with an accent that goes onto the stem of those verbs. Okay, so you get comí and escribí. And finally, if we're talking about what we're going to be doing, future tense, you need to remember voy a. Okay, voy a charlar, voy a comer, voy a escribir. Now that's quite a long class today, guys. We're at the 35-minute mark, and I'm going to stop there because I think that's quite a lot of information in one hit. So hopefully you feel like you've learnt quite a bit. A note to the year 10s and anybody who feels like they want to do something a bit more fast moving and slightly more challenging. I will be posting up some videos that are at a slightly higher level, and the theme that I'll be working around will be the theme of future study and work, which is another one of the major GCSE themes. If you're finding that even though what I'm doing here might seem basic to some of you in year 10 and year 9, for example, you might still be finding it useful as a revision exercise, all of this, and it may well just cement a lot of this information properly in your brain. So you might want to continue with these anyway. It's probably a good idea. That's it. Hasta luego. Hasta la próxima vez. Until the next time. Adios.